Rhea Ripley named the best female in all of women's wrestling for 2023, from October of last year to September of this year. Rhea Ripley takes the top spot. Do you guys agree with that? Is mommy always on top? Or do you feel there's a female that's more deserving of that top spot? Another women's wrestler should be ranked higher. And if so, how do you come to that conclusion? What are your prerequisites? What's your criteria to come to such a conclusion? Because for this list, the PWI 250, which is obviously, like any list, very subjective. It's in the eyes of the beholders, right? Their own set of prerequisites and criteria to meet their own standards to come up with a list like this. But it's one of those lists that a lot of the wrestling community kind of latches onto, and it sparks great debate. So we're going to go over not just the top 5 in PWI 250's list, we're going to go over the top 10 female wrestlers over the last year. Some of these names in the top 10 are befuddling to BC, but there's one name in particular in the top 5 that is dumbfounding. We're going to go over the top 10 and talk about this list. And I'm going to drop some names and kind of their matches, their wins, their losses, and how they've been booked. And I'm just going to raise the question, how were they not ranked anywhere near top 10 status? So a great debate coming up in today's podcast. Love to know how you guys feel on the top females over the last year, and should Rhea Ripley be in that top spot? We're also going to discuss in today's Amped Up podcast, Thursday, October 19, 2023, Edge. A massive trademark was filed from Edge. Wait till you hear what it is, because it gives great insight onto how Tony Khan plans on using Edge going forward. And I gotta be honest, as I always am with you guys, it's a big question mark. Is this the best way to use Edge? I could not stand it with CM Punk, and they're doing the same thing with Edge. I'll tell you what that is. And is Edge unhappy already in AEW? You guys saw what happened. Or maybe you didn't. Maybe you heard about it. Maybe you didn't. But we're going to talk about it. A situation unfolded last Saturday on Collision between him and another AEW wrestler. And it got heated pretty quick. Awkward for a lot of fans. And then we heard that backstage, Edge wasn't completely happy with this one aspect in AEW. How will this affect his booking going forward, his relationship with Tony Khan? We'll talk about that in today's podcast. But a lot of conversation hovering around Edge, this new trademark, and if this is the best way to go about business for Tony Khan's AEW. And it directly is linked, as I mentioned, aforementioned CM Punk. There's a link with Punk. We're going to have to talk CM Punk in today's podcast because WWE keeps dropping these hints and these teases. And if they keep doing that, they're going to be forced to do one massive thing on live television or live on a PLE PPV. This company, WWE, is going to be forced to do this regarding CM Punk. And I'll tell you what that is in today's podcast. They're going to be forced to, it's going to be that or bust if they keep doing this. We'll talk all about that. It's coming up. We're also going to crack some numbers. We love talking numbers on this channel, metrics, statistics, and breaking them down. Monday Night Raw's rating is in. Now, everyone said, season premiere. Paul Levesque McMahon's now in control. This is going to be, BC, they're going to pop a 1819 from the jump, and it's only going to get better from there. I said, hold on, 1819? Hold on, playoffs? You're getting ahead of yourself. Playoffs? You're getting ahead of yourself. I told you guys they'll be lucky if they can even hit their 1.5 that they scored last week. 1.5. And guess what? They didn't even hit that. And before you say football, BC, the Cowboys, my rebuttal is the Chargers. Stop it. Nobody knows the NFL more than BC and cracks the numbers like BC. I cover the Green Bay Packers on this very channel every week. The Chargers. Together, ABC and ESPN together could not pop 20 million viewers. The Jets and the Bills in week 1 popped more than 22 million viewers. And WWE scored a 1.7 semi, by the way. 1.7 plus. So there's no excuse to come up with the rating they came up with this week. And if you try to claim that baseball playoffs were on top of it, baseball is down 23% in the metric. So all you got to do is produce a decent enough show to make people tune in during commercials and halftime, and you're good. During innings, every half inning is another commercial. The metrics, the numbers show us something dastardly bad for WWE, and I'm going to tell you what that was when we go over the numbers. You guys are going to be shocked, or you shouldn't be if you follow this channel, of just how bad Monday Night Raw is to the viewers. And some people are just not going to be happy, whether it's a Paul Levesque McMahon or a Vincent Kennedy, with seeing Nia Jax telling the world she's going to squash more females going forward, or Jinder Mahal coming back, or Ninja Tozawa transforming into Aerobics Tozawa for a laugh and gyrating and dancing with the New Day and the Alpha Academy. To a lot of fans, that's not going to be good enough. Seeing Johnny Gargano lose in 2 minutes is not going to be good enough. Sami Zayn and the Judgment Day for the 97th week, bickering like teenagers in high school, is not going to be satisfying. Watching the Judgment Day winning or defending tag titles in the main event for the 97th week, or so it seems, is not satisfying to the audience. We're going to go over the numbers, and it's justified. Whether it's a Vincent Kennedy, a Paul Levesque, at this point, we should all just agree. Nobody associated with the McMahon family, the La Familia, should be in charge of Raw in any capacity, so that maybe then we can spark a pulse that will make us care about this show once again. We'll also discuss the stock market. WWE is not happy today. The number keeps plummeting. Wait till you hear the new number. And WWE now, at what point do they start to hit that panic button? Because they're losing a lot of money and a lot of people. That boardroom, all the shareholders, they're starting to sweat a little bit more with the number that is popping up every morning. We're going to go over that as well. It's all coming up in today's Amped Up podcast, Thursday, October 19th, 2023. The only thing left to do is to grab your beverage of choice, hopefully a nice hot coffee, lock in those earbuds, smash that up to let BC know that you're fully amplified. Smash it. Give it a Macho Man elbow from the top rope if you don't mind. And then come on back and let's get amplified. Because trust me, we got a packed, stacked, jacked show for you today. Come on back. Let's rock this. Oh, man, that cold open teaser felt like an entire show in and of itself. The cold open teaser was packed, stacked, and jacked. I told you guys, man, we got a big show for you today. And there's only one way to kick it off. A big shout out, a big salute to one of my longtime subscribers on this channel and Gold Card Unit member, by the way, Colin. I appreciate you, dude. I saw that super thanks in the last upload. For those that don't know, down below, the tube machine put up a thanks button. We call it a super thanks, super chat. And it's just a way to tip the content creator, show appreciation to the content creator. So it's never needed. It's always appreciated, never asked for, never needed. So the fact that you guys chuck a coffee, even on regular uploads, is humbling, and I could not be any more grateful, man. It's not the coffee itself. Trust me, I'm going to have plenty of coffee. It's the thought behind it. The fact that you guys listen or even watch these entire podcasts, and when they're over, you say, you know what, BC, that was badass. Here's a coffee. It's the thought behind it that means way more than the coffee itself. Trust me. So, Colin, you know how to start these podcast parties off the right way, man. So to you, again, salute. I appreciate you. And there's only one way, conversational-wise, to start this, and that's with the PWI 250 for the ladies. I think this started for the women, PWI maybe 50, then 100, then it went to 150, and now 250. So it's good to see the ladies finally get their shine on lists like this, because the PWI has the men's 500 list every year. So 250, I think we can squeeze that in for the ladies. Now, if you're wondering what exactly is the PWI 250 or 500, why should we care? I don't really know. I don't know much about them. I don't care to find out a lot. I just know that the community latches on to this list more than most, and it does spark good conversation and debate. Other than that, all I know is that growing up, they were one of the main magazines, Pro Wrestling Illustrated. So it does have some lineage, some history, I should say. It does have a good base behind it. Does it jump into more facts than just opinion base? That's in the eye of the beholder. I haven't read one of these magazines or really kept track of them in many, many years. But it was a big magazine growing up, and we took what was printed and we talked about it. You know, you went to school and you did talk about it. You went to school with the actual magazines, actually. Other than who runs it, I forget, and I don't even care to look. I don't think it's Meltzy. I think he's Observer, so you guys can relax. We wouldn't be going over those lists, I don't believe. But for this list, for the ladies, Rhea Ripley was placed in at number 1 on this list. Now, man, it's hard to argue that, right? The number 1 spot could easily go to her. You could also make a case for several other females. There's no question. And that's why I asked you guys in the cold open teaser, if not Ripley, who gets into that spot? All I can do is go over some numbers with you guys, right? Clear up the field a little bit. Process of elimination, right? Remove some names just based on like records. How many matches they actually wrestled, maybe. Maybe that matters to you guys. Maybe that's in your prerequisites. That's in your criteria. Everybody's list will be different when rating wrestlers number 1 to 250 or even 500. Or maybe not. Maybe some of these names absolutely on the majority of our list should be at the top because they've done enough and they've earned that spot. So let's go over the top 10 in this list. Again, Rhea Ripley is in at number 1. I put some numbers with it. I love numbers, you guys know that. So as I go through this top 10 list, I'm going to give you how many matches they've wrestled in 2023, along with their win-loss record. So not only hopefully is it a little bit more fun for you, but hopefully this will add to the conversation and help us out a little bit to see if they definitely earn that spot. Now, just real quick, I think how they're doing their time frame is October of last year to September of this year. I want to make that known. October to September. What I'm giving you guys is their 2023 numbers. So it's just 3 months difference from October to December. That could greatly affect the list, I understand, but it's better for BC just to give you how they were booked in 2023, the last almost 10 months. Okay, so that's how BC's doing it. But the actual time frame is supposed to be October to September. But the numbers I'm giving you is just 2023, from January to now. Rhea Ripley, number 1 on this list. 44 matches wrestled in 2023. 42 wins, 2 losses. So again, 44 matches wrestled for Rhea in 2023. 42 W's, only 2 L's. She's the current champion for the females in WWE. One of 2. The other, of course, Shirai Io Sky, who, by the way, nowhere in the top 10. That's another story. But Rhea, you could say the booking for Io, right? That opens up another can of worms. Again, that's another story. But for Rhea Ripley, 44 matches, 42-2. You can say, that's not that many matches, but that record is pretty damn solid. And I also think, and I'm pretty sure, that their list, like all of ours, should include more than just numbers. What did they mean to their promotion, right? How were they booked? Were they effective in that booking? What was their presence, their aura, the crowd reaction? Everything, promos maybe, everything has to be included, right? And it's all about who checked off the most boxes when deciding this list. That's how it should be. So I'm not saying these numbers are the be-all, end-all, but they should be a big part of this. And that's why going into number 2, man, it is a jump from 44 matches like Rhea. Number 2 is Julia. Julia had 103 matches wrestled this year alone. That is January to now. 103 matches. She way more than doubles the wrestling matches that Rhea Ripley did in 44. 103. She was 75 W's and 28 L's. 75 and 28, 103 matches wrestled for Julia. It's hard to say you're going to boot her from the number 2 spot when she wrestled that many matches. But on top of that, what she meant, what she was able to do and captivate, I don't really have a problem with that. Would I have her at number 2? Hard no. But that's not shade, trust me. Top 10, most likely. Top 5, possibly, if I gave it even more thought. 2, that's huge to put her in that number 2 spot, especially with the 28 losses, but they went across the board. You could tell that PWI really tried to go outside the box, not just put a bunch of WWE names or a bunch of AEW. They tried to really spread it around. When you do that, though, are you being really fair? Julia, number 2. Again, no problem with it. I don't know if I would have that list already from the jump. The first 2 names, I don't know if I have them in my top 2. Rhea, maybe. Julia, I don't know about 2. Number 3 was Bianca Belair. 103 matches, though, for Julia. That's crazy, bro. Bianca Belair was in at the number 3 spot. Bianca Belair wrestled 47 matches from January to now. She's been gone recently as well. So 47 matches for Bianca. And she was 42 victories, 42 W's, and 5 L's. Now, if you look at her and Rhea Ripley, there's only a 3-match difference, right? Rhea wrestled 44 matches. Bianca wrestled 47 matches. And so that's Bianca wrestled 3 more matches than Rhea. I almost said Rihanna. Could you imagine Rihanna in WWE? Manager Jay-Z. Rhea wrestled 3 less matches. It's ironic because those were the 3 L's that probably put Bianca in the number 3. Again, that's if numbers were the only prerequisite. They're not. But it's just funny to see that she wrestled 3 more matches than Rhea, and she has 3 more losses than Rhea. She probably should just called it a day at the 44 mark. But Bianca Belair is right there with Rhea Ripley, man. 47 matches to Rhea's 44. And they both have 42 W's. Rhea with 2 losses, Bianca with 5 losses. So, I mean, there is some consistency there with Bianca and Rhea and what Bianca meant to WWE. Her title reign was not what it should have been. So, if you had Bianca outside of the top 5, I would not argue that that's justified. Number 4 is befuddling and dumbfounding to BC. This is not shade at all. I know that for a short time frame, she kind of energized AEW's women's division, and I'm sure that's what catapulted her on the list, and that's awesome, by the way. And I like this girl, too. I mean, a lot of people, when she was with Britt Baker, did not really see her as a breakout star. So to a lot of people, snap of a finger, blink of an eye, drop of a hat, she became that breakout star. Jamie Hayter at number 4. Now, guys, in 2023, she's only had 8 matches, 7 W's, good, and 1 L. 7 victories, 1 loss, 8 matches combined. So it's clear this wasn't about the wrestling matches or the amount or how many W's she could stack up. This had to been about, and I'm not going to call it a meteoric rise. It was not that. But this had to have been just a stale women's division in AEW, which I don't know how. They have so many talents. And it's one of my biggest criticisms in AEW is that they don't devote time to the ladies. Last night, man, the ladies were an afterthought. They had Champion Sheeta out there in a match, and I think that's the only thing I can recall. Like, really, guys, I don't remember anything else on Dynamite for the females. I'm not saying there wasn't a segment or 2 with the ladies backstage, right? Toni Storm's doing all those antics during commercial breaks, which I love, by the way. But match-wise, it's almost like Toni just puts one every single Wednesday out and says, okay, I met my quota. I gave you your 1 ladies match. Whereas NXT this week, I don't know, JR9 Gaming, I don't know if he's going to have his NXT report down below in this upload. But I don't know how off I'm going to be when I say it felt like NXT this week was 75% ladies. And I was good with it. I thought it was full throttle. I got to know a bunch of ladies in this breakout tournament that I didn't know much about beforehand. Some of them I would probably sign sooner rather than later. Others, maybe not. Get a little bit more work under you. Backstage segments were on just everything was just, it was good. I'm not saying you have to have that much like NXT. I mean, NXT is really going all in with their females. No pun intended to Tony Khan in AEW. But they went all in. AEW, Tony Khan does not want to put that effort into the ladies. And it shows the audience, man, during these women's matches. They're just not into it. And how can they get into it when the promoter of the company is not into women's wrestling? So the point here is that Jamie Hayter, man, at a time where they desperately needed somebody to really cheer and really get behind and something badass for the ladies, Jamie Hayter delivered that at that time frame. So I guess they're really going on that, right? That was the biggest metric or prerequisite or criteria that was checked off in that box. Because other than that, man, Jamie Hayter at number 4, Jamie Hayter, the 4th best wrestler in the world for females. Guys, no matter how much you love Jamie Hayter, number 4? 8 matches in all of 2023. Oh, man. Bro, BC, straight truth as I always deliver to you guys, man. That's not even top 10, 20, 30. Maybe 30, maybe 25. I really have to think about it. But I can definitively tell you guys, not top 10. And that's not disrespect. That's with much love. But with much honesty. Jamie Hayter is in at number 4 on this list. Number 5 was Tam Nakano. Now, just like Julia, who had 103 matches, Tam had 95 matches in just 2023 alone, guys. I'm not even going back to this list start, which is October. But 95 matches, 54 W's and 41 L's. So again, how much does the match count really put her in that top 5? Probably greatly, right? Because win-loss wise, she's almost 50-50 booked. That's pretty... She loses a ton. Just over 50 W's and over 40 L's. But she busts her ass and wrestles a lot. And again, a lot of those matches were meaningful. There was a point behind them. Made you feel something. They were intriguing to the audience, a lot of them. So that does bump her up. Number 5, though, again, BC highly questions that standpoint. But that's your top 5. Now you go to 6 to 10. Let me get a swig of coffee because this is one of my favorite females in the world of wrestling in at number 6. So I'm highly not going to argue that. But we have to talk numbers here. Athena, or Ember Moon, as a lot of you guys still know her as because you don't even know she's a part of AEW, or ROH. It's befuddling to BC that WWE did not see great value in Ember Moon. And it's just as befuddling, and that's to the point where she was out of a job in WWE, released. And just as befuddling that Tony Khan does not have Athena as a mainstay on their main roster, so to speak. Dynamite, Collision, Rampage, more matches on those shows and storylines. But no, she's stuffed over into ROH, where it struggled in adversity just to get fans to watch ROH, to remember, to even think about ROH. And it's just, if you're a big fan or a supporter of Athena and her work, it sucks because you want her to be showcased in a way where the most amount of people can enjoy and appreciate her work, right? And in ROH, she's having all these matches, busting her ass, kicking ass. And man, it's almost like, is this the best way to utilize her? And I guess what catapults her to number 6 on this list isn't just the matches, by the way. Match-wise, and this is where it's split. This is what I mean about her busting her ass. She's had 29 matches this year alone in ROH. 29 matches, 29 victories, 0 losses. Undefeated with ROH. Then she went over. A lot of these were kind of dark matches. I believe a lot of these were not on TV, but she did go over to AEW even though ROH is the umbrella. It's under the umbrella of AEW. But she went over to AEW shows and she had 12 more matches. There she was 9 victories and 3 L's. So if you add it together, AEW, ROH, she's had 41 matches, 3 losses, 38 W's. Pretty badass win-loss column. And right up there with the match count with number 3 on this list, Bianca, and number 1, Rhea Ripley. So Athena is absolutely in this conversation. So a justified number 6. If you put Athena in the number 4 spot over Jamie Hayter, I wouldn't blink. I'd absolutely believe it and not even argue it. But it's probably more than just the numbers. It's the fact that ROH is still struggling with that adversity, if you will. That's the new thing in pro wrestling with fans, right? Struggling adversity. While Cody is laying down next to a rubber chicken. Just give him the belt. But, ROH, it's rough. It's rough just to get people to watch that. And Athena is putting the company on her back, for the ladies anyway. So what she's meant to pro wrestling this past year, especially to ROH and AEW, in a way that you probably wouldn't think about up front, it's massive. So anyway, that's a long rant, but I'm huge on Athena. Love Ember Moon, love Athena. And it sucks that not enough people get to watch her work. But number 6, yeah, justified. I'm not going to argue that at all. And if she cracked the top 5, you still wouldn't hear an argument from BC. Number 7 was Deonna Purrazzo. 25 matches, 17 W's, 8 losses. Pretty pedestrian, right? Nearly 50-50 booked it is, actually. It's one more match than what would be 50-50. An 8 and 8 would be 50-50, but she had 17 matches, so it's got to go in one of those columns. It favored the W column. 17 victories, 8 losses for Deonna. Only 25 matches in 2023. However, this is one of those things where if you follow her work, you know that those were some big matches she's had. She was able to captivate that audience, garner intrigue for the entire event, not just her match. Deonna has that presence. Deonna takes those headlines. So this is one of those scenarios where it's not just about the numbers. It's about every other box being checked, or at least the majority of them. Deonna Purrazzo, if you follow this channel, I talk very highly of her and Jordynne Grace. But when it comes to Impact Wrestling especially, those 2 names for BC are at the forefront. Deonna and Jordynne. So would BC have Deonna in the top 10 as highly as I view her? No. I view her highly. I would not rank her as highly as this in the number 7 spot. That's very generous because you do have to bring the match count, the W's and the L's. You do have to add that to the substance that she garnered for the wrestling industry. And that is pretty substantial, by the way, as I just aforementioned. But man, I can't look past that record and place her at a number 7, guys. I can't do it. And that's from somebody who speaks very highly, looks at Deonna very highly. Number 7, that is extremely generous. And I have a list of about 10, 15 females up front that could easily be placed in that 7 position. Number 8 makes no sense to me. Willow Nightingale, right? Fun-loving Willow, right? I don't know if anybody has a mean thing to say about her or a bad thing to say. It's Willow. I mean, you just look at her and you can't help but smile. I get it. And she's improved and gotten better. And I mean, when she first got to AEW, a lot of people like BC was like, whoa, this is a different type of a jobber, right? But it's still a jobber. She ain't going anywhere. And what really catapulted her is a little bit of a botch, an injury, I should say. And that was Mercedes Moné getting injured in that title match, and she actually captured that title when it was supposed to go to Mercedes. And from there, she went back to AEW, and they said, well, we might as well just fly with this. Let's rock with it. So it's interesting how that happened, right? It's like in WWE, I remember, was it Ali that got injured, and he was supposed to win this gauntlet match. He gets injured. Kofi wins the gauntlet match, and he does it impressively. And all of a sudden, Kofi Mania is sparked. Ali was like, wait, that was supposed to be me. Mercedes is supposed to win the title. And said she gets injured, and Willow ends up at number 8 on this list. The 8th best professional wrestler in the world for females is Willow Nightingale. Meanwhile, the one that was supposed to win the title in that match, Sasha Banks Mercedes Moné, isn't even on the list because she, I think the quote was she did not meet the qualifications, the prerequisites, the criteria. So Mercedes wasn't able. Her injury just took her right out of the game, apparently. Willow, if you're wondering her numbers, guys, 25 matches in 2023, 16 Ws and 9 Ls. So that's a little worse than 50-50 booked. All right, technically 50-50 booking would be 13 and 12, right? Upon second look. If we're being technical, 50-50 booking to me is if you're anywhere in the vicinity of losing just as much as you're winning. 16 Ws is 16 out of 25. Okay. 9 Ls though. 3 more Ls and yeah, you'd be 50-50 booked down the middle. So again, I understand Willow had a good little rise there for that 2-month spat. Outside of that, pretty pedestrian though. I just don't see how Willow would be the 8th best wrestler for the females in the world. I just don't feel comfortable, and I get it. Trust me, the booking matters so much, what they mean for the company. I get it. And EO and Damage Control, not very good booking for EO. But whoa, to say that like Willow is placed better than people like EO, man, I just don't. I can't comprehend that. I guess congratulations to her. Trust me. But wow. Willow Nightingale, the 8th best female wrestler in the world. What a list, huh? Camille, number 9. 16 matches, 13 Ws, 3 Ls. This is one of those scenarios where they feel like she checked off a lot of the other boxes pristinely. Other than that, no way. With the utmost respect, utmost love, it looks like they're just spreading the love and trying to include every company, you know what I mean? Spread it around kind of evenly because some of these, I don't know, man. The 9th best wrestler with 16 matches and 13 Ws and 3 Ls. It's a much better W over L ratio, but still so pedestrian to me. And Jordynne Grace rounds it off in the 10th spot. 13 matches, 8 Ws, 5 Ls. Again, guys, if you follow the channel, you know how highly I praise Jordynne Grace. I want to see her in a WWE or an AEW. I think there's many reasons why there's not, and I don't want to get into those, but I'm so high on her because she's just so badass. One of my dream matches, and I don't throw that word around, those words often, because in pro wrestling today, everything is a dream match, right? It's gotten to the point where I almost can't stand the words. Like, this is awesome. It's like, please stop. But one of my dream matches, Beth Phoenix, today, I don't care if it's Beth in her prime. Beth Phoenix can still rock today. You guys have seen it. Beth Phoenix versus Jordynne Grace. I don't know why. That match, I would just pay double, triple, quadruple for. Whip out the wallet, take any card, because I need to see that match. But there's other matches like that too. I praise Jordynne Grace because there's so much greatness in her. But this is one of those scenarios where the numbers alone would take me out of putting her in the top 10. The numbers alone, when I see 13 matches in totality with 8 victories and 5 losses, 50-50 straight up is 4-4. So you're worse than 50-50 booked technically. I mean, 5 losses. You can't process that. So it's one of those situations where even, this is how truthful BC is, even if they're, quote, my favorites, or I support them so greatly, it doesn't mean I'm going to place them so highly. And as much as I love Deonna and Jordynne, and you smile with Willow, and you're happy to see her success, and the Jamie haters, man, there's a lot of people in this top 10. You have to highly question the prerequisites and the criteria. That's all I'm going to say. But that's in the eye of the beholder. That's the beauty thing. That's the beauty in these things, right? Is that we all would flip-flop a few, take some out, put some on it. I don't know how you guys rank your top 10, 5, or 3. But this is PWI's 250, and you got to respect it enough to talk about it. If you're going to talk about it, you got to respect it, right? So from Rhea Ripley, Julia, Bianca Belair, Jamie Hayter, Tam Nakano, Athena, Deonna Purrazzo, Willow Nightingale, Camille, Jordynne Grace, salute. No matter how we feel about it, you busted your ass, you put in the work, and you're placed very highly on a list that a lot of people, that sparks a lot of good conversation. So salute to every single one of them. Big time. And before we move on to the next topic at hand, guys, I do want to just drop some names that you would easily or could easily substitute anybody in the top 10 and could justifiably be there, or at least spark the same conversation we're having with some of these names in the top 10. Just listen to some of these names in their matches that they've had, the W's and the L's. Somebody like Roxanne Perez, right? NXT champion. Not recently, but I think it was in that time frame. Was it a little bit before? Well, Roxanne Perez, a big part of NXT, right? 35 matches for Roxanne Perez this year alone. 24 W's, 11 L's. A little bit more L's than I would have liked, no question. But when you see in the top 10, 16 matches, or 13 matches, 8 and 5, and what Roxanne Perez has meant to NXT, you guys see what I'm saying. You could easily put Roxanne into that top 10 and you'd have the same conversation sparked. Trinity Fatu. We all know how valuable she has been for Impact. What she has meant to that company and what she's done since she's gotten there, right? 14 matches, 13 W's, and only 1 L. 13 W's, only 1 L. Again, number 9, Camille, 16 matches, 13 W's, 3 L's. Or Jordynne Grace at number 10, 13 matches. So Trinity has wrestled 1 match more, and Jordan's 8 and 5. Trinity, 13 and 1. And look at what Trinity has meant to that company. The champion, by the way. Yeah, easily. Why wouldn't Trinity be? You know, I'm just dropping some names that you could say. Becky Lynch wrestled 50 matches. That's more than Bianca Belair, more than Rhea Ripley. 50 matches, 35 W's, 15 L's. Again, just like Roxanne Perez, a few more L's than I would have liked. Becky Lynch should maybe be 10 to 12 on the L list. You say, BC, it's not that much more. Yeah, but it is. And those losses, they stay with you subconsciously. So a little bit high on the ticker there, but 50 matches and 35 W's, you could easily say Becky would be in the top 10. So that's what I mean. You're taking some names out because you really want to spread the love with other companies. And on one hand, okay, that's a good thing, right? On the other hand, then how truthful is the list? If we're just trying to check off different boxes unjustifiably. It's interesting, right? I'll just leave it at that. It's interesting. It's something to think about. Like it's on one hand, it's good that you're spreading the love to all of these companies. On the other hand, you kind of question the list at that point. Are these the best names in that position because through your prerequisites and criteria, your standards, they are literally the best? Or is it because you had to tap into a different market or a different demographic or just this company? We have to show that some love in the top 10. So sorry, I know you earned it, but you gotta get Das Boot. I don't know. Becky Lynch is a name. Just look at the numbers and the type of matches that she's had over the last year and say, how do some of these names overrank her? Tiffany Stratton, guys. I know she's brand new, but judging on some of the criteria that is in the top 10, Tiffany Stratton has had 33 matches. That's way more than a lot of the people in the top 10 this year. 33 matches, 23 W's, 10 L's. Again, high on the ticker. She is playing the heel, so they're going to have a few more losses. I get it. But there's no reason Tiffany Stratton has more than 5 losses right now. That's how I would book her. So the 10, maybe that did hurt her. But 33 matches. 23 of those 33 W's already. And what she's meant to NXT, and she's already to BC standards and prerequisites and criteria, she's one of the best wrestlers in the world already. And according to her own words, she still has a lot more room for improvement. I'm not seeing where. I'm just dropping some names that you could easily say, whoa. Don't know why they got the snub. Now, I don't know where they placed. I don't know if you guys have the full list yet. This is very early as of this recording. I haven't even seen the full 250 on where a lot of these names are placed. We're just having some fun with the top 10. So if you guys know just some of the names that I just mentioned, or maybe some other notables that you guys have, where they placed and how that's befuddling to you, drop it down below, man. It always sparks really good conversation. So that's some fun, man. Again, salute to all of the ladies that placed, and to all those that don't. Listen, it's a subjective list. Don't let it get to you. You're not going to lose sleep tonight, man. Lay your head on that pillow and fucking get those Z's. You know, a bunch of people got together and made a wrestling list of the best and the worst, but it's subjective. So if you didn't make this list, keep busting your ass, rock out. You can put it as one of the goals that you have, but don't let it be the defining goal. You're worth more than that. You're better than that. Moving on. Edge. Big trademark file. This is the second big story we had this week about a trademark. If you guys saw the podcast or listened to one of my most recent podcasts, maybe it was a couple podcasts ago, it was the Jade Cargill filing. Jade Cargill filing the trademark of Jade Cargill. Her name, go figure. But it wasn't WWE who filed it. It was Jade Cargill, LLC. So Jade is trying to send that message to WWE already. You do not own my name. Came into this world with that name, went to AEW, coming to WWE, and I'll walk out of WWE with my name. So she is literally saying, I'm going to trademark this before you guys can. And we discussed it. For those of you that are like, well, it's her name, BC. Can't she use it no matter where she goes? Not necessarily. There's a lot of loopholes in WWE legally. You can actually tie your name up if it's under an entertainment services concept. We talk all about it, guys. That's why you have to listen to these podcasts from beginning to end, start to finish, because we had a really good conversation on that. But now, the second big story with trademarks is Edge. Edge recently filing for rated FTR under Entertainment and Sports Services. Rated FTR. It looks like Tony Khan is going to put Edge in the same situation where CM Punk was in before he was given Das Boot. Edge is basically like a replacement for Punk at this point. Like Khan went over to Turner Networks and said, Warner Discovery, and said, listen, I know we lost Punk, but don't worry, I got Edge, big star. And he's showing up on Dynamite way more than Punk was, because Edge is more respected, obviously more liked, so he can show up to any show. And he was there last night as well. But Edge, man, rated FTR. Remember rated RK, bro? Or no, rated RK. Rated, what was it? Rated RKO? What the hell is RK, bro? Oh, that was with Matt Riddle and Randy. I don't know what. But you remember Randy Orton and Edge is my point. Well, they're going to try to do something with FTR. And this is exactly where Punk was in, having six-man tags. And this is why people tuned out immediately. Punk came back with all this buzz, and they used him in this six-man schmozzery, and the audience was cut in half immediately. And the best you have for Edge is six-man schmozzery, right? Christian and his boys versus Edge and FTR, obviously. And they're going to bill it as rated FTR. To the point where it's trademarked. So this is more than just a match, obviously. They're going to make a whole story out of this, and I don't know. I don't know if this is the best use. That's obviously... It's one of those conversations where you're either going to really like this idea, or, basically they're going to win trios titles maybe. Well, that's thank goodness they brought Edge in, so I can watch more six-man tags and Edge win trios titles. If it sounds like there's a question mark on this for BC as far as how I would book Edge, absolutely. I would never in a million years bring this guy in to do six-man schmazes with FTR. A quick match, okay, that's fine. But to go as far as to do a rated FTR? This trademark, man, it gives you a big insight on what's happening with Collision and this product going forward for Edge at least, and FTR. And I can't say that this is the best use for Edge. On top of that, A little bit of an update. You guys know that last Saturday, a heated moment in the ring. Edge was given a promo. Him and Bryan Danielson. Christian comes in. Ricky Starks. Everybody's yapping. Starks throws a comment, a diss over to Edge. I'm talking to him. Get your buggy eyes off me or something like that, right? Your beady eyes. I don't know if he did drop like a Stone Cold line. But he said, I'm talking to him. Stop looking at me. Whatever. And Edge is like, I'm looking at your cheesy slacks or whatever, right? Your silk cheesy slacks or whatever. He takes a dig at him. So Ricky Starks comes back with, well, yeah, obviously you didn't bring style from that other place. Talking about how Edge was dressed. So Edge comes back with, well, yeah, and clearly you knocked off The Rock. Congratulations, kid, or something like that. I don't know. So he mentions that he's a wannabe Rock, basically. And Ricky Starks goes, oh, that really sent me over the edge. And you see, Adam Copeland. Got to start calling him Adam Copeland, right? Because he's not Edge in AEW. That's trademarks. That's WWE's. So Adam Copeland is actually pissed when Ricky Starks says, oh, that sent me over the edge. Watch Adam Copeland, guys. You guys got to see this, man. He's leaning against the ropes. He's like, come on, give me your best shot, kid. And he says, oh, that sent me over the edge. And Adam Copeland goes, oh, come on, dude. Like, it got really heated. This was not in their original promo, obviously. This went off the rails because it got tense. It got heated. For some reason, Copeland just does not like Starks, or something just is off-putting about Starks. And maybe Starks sensed that, so they just went at it for like a good minute. It was good. Uncomfortable for a lot of fans, but they're consummate professionals, so they put it back on the rails pretty quickly. But when he said, ooh, that really sent me over the edge, Copeland was really pissed off. Like, he was like, dude, that was so low. That never should be said. And if you guys don't know, that was the event that Owen Hart passed on. Fell from the rafters as the Blue Blazer character. And it's pretty much one of those events you don't really talk about in the community, in the business at large, the whole industry. You just don't mention over the edge. You just don't do it. So he said that, not thinking about that, guys. Ricky Starks was just thinking, ooh, Edge, how can I come up with something with the word Edge? Ooh, that diss really sent me over the edge. And Copeland was like, oh, dude, seriously. And Copeland just stopped right there. He's like, all right, this is done. He was really pissed about that. So the update here is that we did hear that Adam Copeland, first and foremost, there's no animosity with AEW or Tony Khan. So anything you hear about that is BS. But he was upset at Ricky Starks and that promo. Backstage, there was a little bit of a discussion that was had between Copeland, Khan, and Starks. Whether it was all squashed, I'm guessing so. I have no information on that. I wish I did. I don't have details on it. I know that they all had a talk backstage, and don't expect to see that in the ring ever again between the two. I don't know if that means they're going to be good buddies. I don't think so. But it was squashed, and Adam Copeland, unlike Phil Brooks, Adam Copeland is somebody who's going to move on from this pretty quickly. Ricky Starks is a good dude. I think Ricky Starks just he sees himself much like, it's like a Jade Cargill situation. They just are WWE people, You could tell that that's their ultimate goal. And somebody like Starks, he's just like, this is all equity that he's building up. And when it's time to cash in, he's going to WWE. You got to believe that. And that's Cody's people, like Jade Cargill, Ricky Starks, and a few others. Those are Cody's people. He puts in the word for them, and Papa H will gobble them up like Pac-Man. So Ricky Starks is probably not trying to disrespect anybody, but he sees himself as this big star backstage, shoulder to chest out, head up. And maybe that was off-putting to somebody like Adam Copeland. But I hear there was a discussion between them, and everything seemed to be fine. Again, I don't know if they're going to be buddies or exchanging Christmas cards, but I don't think that's going to affect Edge going forward. I heard, man, I will give you a little bit more of what I heard, all right? But because I'm asking for more from my people down in Florida, so I'm asking for more. If they can provide it, awesome. And then I can shed some more light to you guys. But I will tell you what I heard a little bit. Edge is looking at AEW like a very, what's a better word than how it was told to me? I got to clean it up a little. I can't tell you guys the exact verbiage. It's a loosely ran company. You can look at that as a good thing. You know, promos can be fun because it's off the cuff and you're just kind of spitting off whatever you want, top of your dome piece. On the flip side, there's not a lot of structure. You know, some things have to go a little bit more smoother. And Edge is kind of looking at a lot of these boys like, ooh, there's so much work that needs to be done. Like, it's so rough around the edges that I don't know if we can put out a smooth product or segment that we're involved in. That was the gist of how it was presented to me. Like the way that Edge views AEW is not the best backstage, behind the scenes. Guys, that should kind of... That shouldn't be too shocking, though. Edge only really knows WWE. And that's what the only thing he can compare it to. And WWE is so damn structured these days that it's nauseating, right? Monday Night Raw every Monday night is so redundant in its structure, right? It's the same repetitiveness because they it's almost like they fear going off the beaten path. Everything is just so formulaic in WWE. And somebody like Edge, even if it's subconsciously, you kind of just get into that rhythm. So, you know, and that's the same thing that got Brooks, guys. Same thing. Brooks is one of those people. 7 years away from WWE does not matter. You go to AEW and you see how loose the company is ran and with not a lot of structure. Somebody like Brooks, man, they need that structure. That's why I always said Brooks needs to be in a place like WWE. It's the only place he's going to find. Somebody like Brooks needs some type of structure. AEW, the inmates were running the asylum. Brooks was running the show most of the time, and Brooks should not be running the show. Brooks will probably tell you he should not be running the show, if he was being honest. You know, so a lot of these WWE guys, they swim to shore, and then they get a nice fucking tan, or they end up sinking. You know, somebody like Chris Jericho or a Mox, they can do really good in AEW. Somebody like a Brooks, somebody like an Edge, it's going to be more of a struggle. These are more WWE guys through and through. Somebody like Jim Ross has never really, you can tell, Jim Ross, as much as he wears the hoodies that say AEW, as much as he speaks so highly of them, Jim Ross is a WWE guy. Always talking about him, always talking about his time there, always talking about how they just wanted to go in a different direction and they moved on from him. He's a WWE guy, and he would jump at the chance to be there with a good pay offering. Oh, man, Jim Ross. And a lot of others, guys. So I'm not shocked about what I heard about Edge, how he views AEW. And I'm sure he's not happy about, you know, the ratings as of late for AEW, because he's been a big part of them. And then Tony Khan is taking jabs at Cena and Undertaker for not pulling 1 million viewers. Adam Copeland is Edge, same era of The Undertaker, major star. And you're saying that he only just broke 600,000 on Dynamite. At least they almost pulled. Cena and Undertaker almost pulled 1 million. You barely hit 600,000 with Edge as your main event. So then Adam Copeland has to answer to that. Maybe that's another thing he's upset about. Again, I don't have details, so I'm not going to BS you. I'm just telling you what I was told. And I'm being generous in my verbiage, by the way. It was told much differently. But we'll see, man. You know, growing pains. He just got there. There's going to be a lot of things he's not going to like and a lot of things that he'll like. But if FTR and Edge is their big plan going forward through the holidays into next year, rated FTR, if a lot of you guys are happy, awesome. BC, man, I don't want to see just more six-man schmozzery. You take out Punk and you replace him with Edge and you repeat the process with FTR. No, thank you. Speaking of CM Punk, by the way, WWE has been doing nothing but dropping teases and little hints, or at least making you think about CM Punk, right? All these things that like Seth Rollins is saying, or a Corey Graves on commentary. These are all things that were said by CM Punk at one point or another. Then you see Shinsuke hitting a GTS top of the ramp. Then the USA Network's official X or Twitter, whatever you're calling it on the social doohickey machine, their official account says best in the world with Shinsuke hitting a GTS. And WWE does the, the retweet or whatever. All of these things, when you know this dude he's going to be available to come work for you if you wanted to do such and have such, and you're going to Chicago next month for the Survivor Series, and you're dropping all of these hints, and you want people to really talk about CM Punk, do you go to Chicago and you do not deliver CM Punk? Are you going to have Randy Orton come out and say, you know what, that's going to be a good enough pop, that's going to make them forget about Punk? I will say this right now. Candidly and vividly, if they keep dropping more teases about CM Punk going forward, and I'm talking even one more, then they are forced at that point to deliver CM Punk back to WWE. Survivor Series, Chicago, Illinois. CM Punk's music has to hit, and CM Punk Phil Brooks has to come down the aisle, and there's no love lost between us two. Trust me, he's not one of my fucking favorite wrestlers of all time. I can tell you that much. But I'll be the first to say that this is going to need to happen. Punk will have to come back to WWE because you cannot keep dropping these amount of teases, show up to Chicago and not deliver Punk. WWE is digging their own hole if they're not going to produce CM Punk. Is this just Paul Levesque McMahon doing what he always does with his audience and his fans? Fucking with them, screwing with them, having some fun with them, right? Because that's what Paul Levesque McMahon always does. It's going to reach a point where the talk is going to be such at a boiling point, you're going to have to produce Punk. So yeah, I will say it right now, man. If there's even one more tease on WWE television, you better have Punk next month in Chicago at Survivor Series. I'll say that right now. Because these are a lot of teases. This is more than just coincidence. They know what they're doing at this point. USA Network just gave WWE, TKO Holdings, they gave them a lot of money. Not what they were looking for, but it's still a lot of money for SmackDown. SmackDown is going to the USA Network. They want some bang for their buck. Best in the world is what the USA Network put out there. I think they're in talks with Ari. They want to make sure that when that goes to the USA Network, that there's going to be care and effort and big names on that show. They didn't just give a lot of money to Ari, to Vince and WWE, TKO Holdings. They didn't give a lot of money to them for nothing. They don't want to see ratings in the 1.3s and the 1.4s and even 1.5s like Monday Night Raw is producing. Best in the world is what the USA Network put out. You know damn well they want to see if Punk can pop a rating for them. Same thing Turn Networks wanted from AEW, but they botched it and he didn't pull that number. Interesting conversation to be had, but these are too many teases, and if you're not going to produce Punk, you should not be doing that. You're just screwing with your own audience. Getting the level of conversation to a boiling point just to not produce what you've been teasing. It's right up WWE's alley. It's their MO, I understand, but this is too big of a situation not to produce. Now, we talked about WWE's rating just a second ago, right? In passing, right? The aforementioned rating for Monday Night Raw this week. Listen to this. Now, this is where people are going to say, but football, BC. Baseball, BC. Football, Monday Night Football, Dallas Cowboys against the Chargers. And then there was a playoff game, I believe, for baseball. Okay, first and foremost, the Jets and the Bills was watched by millions more people, okay? 22 million plus, okay? And WWE Raw pulled a 1.7 plus. So please stop with the football nonsense. Major League Baseball, along with the baseball itself down 23% in the market, playoffs down 19%. Please stop. But if you want to blame baseball and football, and again, I'll be the first to say they take a chunk out of your rating, but you can never use that as an excuse because if you're producing your best possible show, the bare minimum, people are going to tune in on the last button on their remote, that last button. They're going to tune in every commercial break, every halftime, every half inning of the baseball game, and that's going to greatly help your rating. What this rating for Raw showed us this week is they were not doing that yet again. Monday Night Raw this week pulled in a 1.4 semod. The high end of the 1.4s, guys, they did not even break 1.5, which was last week's rating. This was a season premiere, by the way. This was hyped up as Paul Levesque McMahon's first show of nearly 100% control. Even though he's had the majority control way before even August. People don't realize that. How much control of this show Paul Levesque McMahon has already had. The majority of it for months. But now, because it was on a dirt sheet, everybody really believed that this was it. He's had the majority of control. You're not going to make people care about this show. It's just not good still. It doesn't matter if it's a Vincent Kennedy or Paul Levesque McMahon. But it's slightly better, BC. In some areas, that's fine. You might be right. But in its totality, Monday Night Raw still absolutely sucks. Nia Jax is just telling everybody she's going to squash everybody even more going forward. Ninja Tozawa is doing aerobics. Jinder Mahal is back in Adam Pearce's office to do business. Johnny Gargano is having a couple minutes of a match. Sami Zayn is going back and forth with the Judgment Day again for months now. We cannot get away from this. Judgment Day is in the main event again with stupid tag titles that nobody cares about. They're flip-flopping, hot potatoing the titles. No. Excuse me, don't excuse me. Sorry, not sorry if a lot of fans are not interested in that type of a product. So no, Paul Levesque McMahon did not succeed in that area, in all of those areas to a lot of fans. And it showed you in the ratings with a 1.4. And the fact that fans were not even tuning in during commercial breaks, halftime, or in the half-inning breaks, that tells you they weren't even caring about Raw. So it's not about football. It's not about baseball. They literally didn't care about Monday Night Raw. They didn't care about it. And every time they did check initially in the first hour, which is what the rating showed us, they quickly said, well, there's no reason to tune in later. There's nothing on this show that would excite me. So here you have a 1.4 rating. 1.4. You can't keep going lower. You're going to honestly be at that new low benchmark of 1.2. 1.25, I told you guys, is the next lowest benchmark. It was 1.5, but they've shattered that. I think they even got a 1.3 recently, didn't they? Something like that. But a 1.4, guys. So what happens when you have a massive football game that actually matters? That's not just Cowboys and Chargers of all teams. What happens when you have something so massive that it even beats the Jets and Bills? Maybe 25 million viewers. 26, dare I say. What happens? Are you really going to crumble to a 1-1-1-0? Is that how low we're getting because of football, Baisley? Come on, stop. And again, the Jets and Bills pulled 22 million plus, a couple million more viewers than this week's NFL game. And WWE still scored over a 1-7 when that game happened. That was what, September 11th? We got the number on September 12th, I believe. So here we are with this past Monday scoring a 1-4, a season premiere episode. No. I think we all can agree, if we're being truthful, that Monday Night Raw is in a bad position, and it's going to take way more than Paul Levesque McMahon's creativity or lack thereof. At this point, if you're associated with the McMahon La Familia, I would remove you from anything creative. And I would put somebody in there that knows what they're doing and can give us the level of care and effort and resources that's needed to give Monday nights a pulse again. Because a 1-4 semod is simply pathetic. And if you want to stick with numbers, TKO Group Holdings, guys. This is the stock for WWE. Again, it is now trading under TKO Group Holdings. Ari Endeavor now oversee Vince McMahon and WWE's trading. And I told you guys how it's been a fall from grace ever since the deal between Endeavor and WWE was officially announced. They were trading over 100. Now they are trading as of today at 76. 76 a share. 76 from 100, and I've watched them fall to 95, to 88, to 82, to 79, 78, 76. Do they go all the way to 60s? I think they were trading at 67, 68 before We even heard that they were selling or merging, right? And that's where they were, roughly high 60s. They're about to go all the way back to the 60s while the deal has already been announced for weeks now. They're going backwards, not in the right trajectory. So that tells you, man, there is great, or if there isn't already, there's going to be great panic within that company because they're going, wait, all of this money that we were worth, we're waking up every morning and we're worth less and less and less. McMahon is probably thinking I should cash out at any moment because I'm losing money right now. Because that's exactly how this works. If McMahon cashed out a week ago, he'd be a lot richer than if he cashes out today. And if he waits till next week, he's going to be a lot less richer than he would have been today. Because this is falling gradually, slowly but surely. This is leaning more toward the 60s where they were trading before the deal was even a concept. Before the idea was even conceived to be merged or bought. They're going backwards, man. And even though it's slowly but surely, I'm sure to the people that have money, skin in the game, it is being expedited, this downfall. So 76 is where they're trading. And I continue to keep an eye on this number because, wow, there is a lot of panic in this company right now. And they don't see that. What that means is they're not seeing a bright future under TKO Holdings right now for WWE. What this is telling you is it was better when it was just WWE trading at over 100 and everybody was a lot more richer. Be interesting to see, man. WWE losing a lot of money these days. Where do you guys want to go? Dynamite. Let me talk Dynamite real quick if you don't mind. I know this has been a long podcast. I told you guys it was packed, stacked, and jacked. I don't just say that. A lot to get over, man. A lot to go over in these podcasts, man. And I got a lot more stories I could talk about, too. But because we're getting so high up there, man, I think we're already over an hour, right? I'm going to leave those stories for another podcast. But I do want to just touch up on Dynamite. I got to watch much of Dynamite last night, actually. The majority of it. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, this is not a popular take, and that's fine. But guess what? Their ratings absolutely suck these days. And they have for a long time. So even though it might not be a popular take, and it might not be the alternative that you guys wanted from WWE, it's going to help them, the company, in the long run. What I saw last night was not a lot of wrestling. I saw them really devoting time to character development. Saw a lot of promos being done. A lot of heartfelt sit-down interviews like with Renee Young, Renee Paquette, and Edge, Adam Copeland, or Jim Ross. Doing a very emotional family segment. I do not want to spoil that for you guys. It was actually very well done. And those are the type of segments that builds character and makes people care about your show and your product. It's a wrestling show, I get it. But how many wrestling matches can we see a week before it gets redundant? Do you really want to see 2 hours of just banger and clanger after banger and clanger? What's Meltzy going to rate it? 3 stars, 5 stars? Is that going to reach 6 stars? Is that really what wrestling has become? Now, you see, the shows should build up to the pay-per-view. That's where we should see all of these epic matches culminate. But the shows, I'm okay if the majority of a television show, a Raw, a SmackDown, a Dynamite, a Collision, doesn't matter. Impact Wrestling. The shows should be for the storylines and the character developments, the promos, the angles. Wrestling, a little bit on the show. Of course, it's a wrestling show. I get it. Few matches. 1 or 2 of them a little bit longer, a couple 2-3 a little bit shorter. I'm fine with it. What I saw from Dynamite last night, man, was a ton of interviews and promos, character development, trying to get very emotionally attached to the stories. That's what they wanted you to get into. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I hope they do more of that. I'm not saying it's going to pop 900 plus in the rating this week. I don't know, to be honest. It's so all over the place. It's just a roller coaster ride with AEW and their fans. You know, it's just not must-see TV. So the rating is all over the place. But I do know that if they keep that up, they're going to be in a good position down the road. Stop with the 5-star bangers and just trying to get the "this is awesome, fight forever" reception from the crowd. Stop. Build up your characters, build up your stories. And you ain't even got to thank me later. That's the best advice I can give you. I've been following these numbers and these shows for the longest of times, way before I even had this channel or started creating content 5-6 years ago. Way before that. We know. It's not rocket science. We know what works and doesn't work. What's good and bad on a wrestling show. How these promoters don't understand that is beyond me. Last night was massive steps in the right direction for AEW. My one big critique, more ladies' devotion. Devote more time, energy, resources, effort to the ladies. All I'm gonna remember is Sheeta's match last night. That's it. And I'm barely going to remember. 2 days from now, I'm probably going to totally forget it. I'm not saying you got to be like NXT and have 75% bare minimum of your show devoted to the ladies, but damn, your audience is never going to really appreciate or even care about ladies wrestling in AEW if the promoter does not. That's my big critique. Guys, it's been a blast. This has been an awesome podcast, man. A lot of good discussion over a nice hot coffee. Now I got to go get a couple more coffees and go about the rest of my business that I have to attend to today. But until next time, and there will be that next time, top guys, we're out. BC saying thank you, salute, check you, peace. We out. Salute.